This is a Year 8 English instructional video on the novel Once. We are now looking at Chapter 7, pages 57 to 65 in your book. Let's have a look at the setting first. Now that we've got almost halfway through the book, we find less and less information about setting, even historical setting, because lots of that has been revealed. And so there's only two places that Zelda and Felix are present in this chapter. The first we read here. Initially, he woke up and he was at home in bed, and we find that that's not really true here when it says, "Then I really wake up and I'm in a haystack." So at the end of the last chapter, chapter 6, he fell asleep with Zelda after rescuing her and carrying her for some way in a haystack on somebody's property in Poland. So they wake up and they're in that same haystack. Obviously, this haystack's in a field somewhere. And there's a road nearby because they have an encounter with a soldier. The only other place that we see in chapter 7 is near the end on page 60. Here on page 60, I grab Zelda by the hand, my notebook and the bread and water. Zelda's trembling and I say, "Come on. He's telling us we have to go to the city with all the other people." So we start in a haystack and we eventually move on to the road with people travelling to the city. Where is this city? Probably Warsaw. It's in the northern part of Poland. To the east, there are some hills, which may well be where the orphanage is. Warsaw itself is very flat. So by the time Felix has made his way down from the hills, a reasonable distance, he's on flat pastoral land all the way into Warsaw. It's time to turn our attention to the characters in Chapter 7. Now, there really is only Felix and Zelda as the main characters, but we have a few other things, and I'd like to look at page 59 and just read from this part here. What's happened so far is that they've woken up in their haystack, and Felix is wide awake and he hears a sound coming from the other side of the hedges. He tells Zelda to stay at the haystack, and I run to the hedge, wriggle into the leaves and branches and peer out at the road, and gawk in amazement. The road is crowded with people, men, women and kids and old people, 100 or even more. They're all walking wearily in the direction of the city. Most of them are carrying bundles or bags or suitcases or cooking pots. A few are carrying books. Each person is wearing an armband over their coat or jacket, not a red and black armband like the Nazis had at the orphanage. These are white with a blue star, a Jewish star like on some of the Jewish houses at home. Here we have Felix confronted for the first time with gathering Jews up together, his people, and marching them along a road. And he noticed that they have an armband too. They are marked, just like the Nazi soldiers are marked in a uniform with an armband with the Nazi symbol on it. These people are marked with a blue star on a white armband. Now, this is a very interesting historical fact. When I first read this, I was confused, as most of my reading I had heard about gold-coloured stars for Jewish people. But with a little bit of research, I found out that Morris Gleitzman is correct, because in Poland they didn't have yellow stars, they had a white armband with a blue Star of David, and they were the only country to do so. Let's have a quick look at that. Here is the web page from a Holocaust museum in Michigan in the US, and it has a web page dedicated to the Star of David that the Jews wore. So here are some of the armbands or patches that were sewn on their uniforms. You can see we have the six-pointed, what's called the Star of David, the inverted triangle and the correct way up, making a 6-point star. This is France, Belgium, Holland, the Netherlands, and Germany and other areas around Germany. They have yellow stars, and this is how I understood the Jews were identified. However, if I go down here, we do see that in Poland we have a blue Star of David on a white background. These are the armbands that were worn, and this is almost an exact replica of the flag of Israel today with a blue Star of David on a white background.